Good morning and welcome to Soulful Sundays. It's your favorite life coach, Dr. Boz, having some tea instead of coffee this morning. And yes, my earrings are the first thing that I put on in the morning and the last thing that I take off at night. But I digress. I want to talk a little bit about Soulful Sundays, and I actually have two ways for you to fill your cup. So the first one is related to this past Thursday. I know for most folks it is considered Thanksgiving, but also I want to acknowledge that for a lot of people it is a national day of mourning regarding our indigenous ancestors. But then also for a lot of people, it is just difficult because of family dynamics or loved ones, or just, just a tough time for folks. So, what I would want you to do is to actually take time and honor your loved ones in spirit because they are still here and they want to help us out. So, uh, you know, if you have a space to honor them, do that. If you are missing them, you ask them to send you a sign. Sit in quiet and just ask for them to let you know that they're still here. And most of the time, they will develop a communication language with you, um, where it might look the same, and sometimes maybe it's one or two things, but um, pay attention after you ask because they are here. Their energy has not changed. Their physical form is not here, but their energy is still very present. So if you are missing anybody, take a moment and ask for a sign and then listen to it. And also, again, take time to honor the ones who came before us, who made the struggle so that we could be here. Say thank you out loud to them so that they know. Honor them with the way that you show up in the world. So that's my first piece of advice for helping you fill your cup, because it really does feel good when you get that little sign of acknowledgement, like, oh, okay, you are still around. The second piece of advice I want to give you is because I tend to call this time harvest time, all the way up until winter solstice starts. I'm like, this is harvest time. This is where I really start to take inventory of all the things that I've done, all the things I've learned and unlearned, but then I start preparing and planning for the future. So take some time to do one or both of these things because it's going to help fill your cup. I think the biggest thing to do is to, one, write down all the things that you've accomplished this year so far, because we're coming to the end of the year. What have you accomplished? And I don't mean necessarily like the big accomplishments, but that's important too. But what did you learn? What did you unlearn? What are things that you've grown around? What are things that you've tried? Things that were scary for you, but you still did them anyway? Relationships that you may have repaired. What did you do that was real badass this year? Write those things down. And then you take a second and check in with yourself and thank yourself because you did that. So the second part of that is to celebrate. If you haven't celebrated the things that you've accomplished, be it spiritual, personal, academic, financial, whatever, take some time and celebrate with yourself. And celebration doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and party or drink or whatever. It could just mean celebrating quietly. It could mean going like this. Yes, you did that. Right? But take a moment and acknowledge where you've come, because that is going to help you to stay focused on where it is you plan to go for the next year. So that's my piece of advice for Soulful Sundays. So remember, I gave you two. The first one was to honor our loved ones in spirit, whether it is from 400 years ago or yesterday. Acknowledge and honor them and look for those signs. If you are seeking them, you got to pay attention. If you're too busy and you're moving around and you're doing the most because you're trying to avoid those negative emotions, you're going to miss those signs. And when you get those signs, acknowledge them and say thank you. And then acknowledge yourself for all that you've done this year, for all the ways that you've grown, and celebrate yourself. Have a lovely rest of the week. Let's get ready to rock it because it's December and it's going to be 31 days left of this year soon, and hopefully new beginnings for many of us. And as always, you can catch me at www.brendascheck.com. You have a lovely, beautiful day. I'm going to sip my tea and continue to chill. Peace.